In this video, I'm talking about target date funds. And no, I'm not talking about the funds you can get at Target. So what the heck is a target date fund? Well, a target date fund is an investment that you hold within your accounts, whether retirement account, brokerage accounts, 401k. They come in a lot of different varieties, but mainly you're going to be using them for investing in your account. One definition that Charles Schwab uses says target date mutual funds let you invest in a single portfolio with an asset mix that becomes more conservative as the target date nears. These funds are often used as an investor's single portfolio when investing for retirement. The investor generally does not have to worry about rebalancing the portfolio as they age. A target date fund is meant to reduce your risk and also reduce your return as you get closer to retirement. Because the two go hand in hand, or they're supposed to go hand in hand. As you reduce your risk, you reduce your opportunity for return. The same is true when you look the other way. If you increase your risk, you should be rewarded by getting a higher return. So a target date fund is meant to do what they call a glide path. So as you get closer to retirement, instead of having really aggressive investments, it's meant to lower those risky investments as you slowly glide into retirement. So a target date mutual fund is essentially an all-in-one. So you can think of it as the Swiss Army knife of investing. You fit a bunch of different investments into one specific tool for multiple different purposes. And just like with a Swiss Army knife, the downside of having the Swiss Army knife is that although you have a bunch of different tools in one specific tool, not one of those tools is very great. I remember when I had a Swiss Army pocket knife, I tried to use the tweezers, right? And they were good for nothing. I tried to use the bottle cap opener. It was too flimsy. Couldn't get the bottle open. So although they sound great and they can sometimes work in certain situations, a lot of times you're getting a lot of different tools mixed into one, which means none of those tools work very well. So when we're talking about target date funds, we have to keep in mind that they really are an all-in-one. And what that means is that for the passive investor, the one who is not working with someone or has really no idea what to do, it can really be a set it and forget it type of investment. So one of the pros is that you have a new job, they've enrolled you into the company 401k, you have no idea what investments you're going to select, they might have defaulted you into a specific target date fund. And typically, the target date fund is going to go off of your proposed retirement age. And it's usually some type of formula, probably retiring around your age 65. And so depending on how far away you are from that, they're going to put you in a target date fund that matches that specific date. So when they say target date fund 2030, what they mean is that target date fund is for someone who's going to be looking to retire around 2030. Now, although that's a great plan to have a default and to be able to stay invested in an all-in-one type of investment, sometimes that just doesn't make sense. So the goal of the target date fund was to help you better invest and lower your risk as you get closer to retirement. You're automatically changing some investments. Now, you yourself aren't doing it. It's the fund that you're invested in that is doing that. However, therein lies the problem. The con to these types of investments is that sometimes you are not properly invested, meaning that even if you're guaranteed to retire on that date, 2030, doesn't mean you should be invested in that specific way. And what do I mean by that? Different people are going to live longer. Different people are going to spend less or spend more. And everyone's going to have a different income goal as they go throughout their retirement. Meaning different lifestyles, different expenses, and different nest eggs from which you're going to draw that money down from. What the research shows and suggests is that one of the biggest cons to having a target date fund is that you are improperly invested. So as you get closer to retirement, the feeling and emotional drive within us says that we should reduce the risk in our portfolios. When in reality, history shows that the more heavily we're invested, the more likely we are to meet our goals. And this is where the problem lies, is that we get too conservative. We don't get the growth we need in retirement. We get beat up by inflation. And therefore, we start limiting ourselves on what we can spend or our safety zone to when things go really wrong or can do really well. So a target date fund, although it sounds good in theory and can work well in some circumstances, doesn't necessarily help if you have a long retirement. Think about the idea of a 30-year retirement. You're going to need some kind of growth. Or even think about this year, 8% inflation growth. The stock market's not doing very well. This is a very tough scenario for a retiree. However, when we look back at history in the past couple of years, the amount of growth that we've had in the market, if you were conservatively invested, you probably didn't grow your account as much. And so it always will ebb and flow depending on what kind of outcome you're trying to achieve. And so the feeling of that is not really sitting well within us. And so that provides the need for us to reduce our risk so that we don't get burned as bad. The problem, though, is if we reduce our risks, especially when things rebound or come back in the stock market, then we're going to miss out on a lot of growth. Because we're conservative, which means our accounts maybe don't fall as much, it means in good times they don't rise as much. And so the downside then becomes we don't have enough growth to sustain our retirement. And that's really where you have to balance the feeling of, hey, I think this is too risky versus, hey, I need some growth in order to maintain the type of lifestyle that I want. And that, to me, is the number one thing that people get wrong, is that they want to reduce their risk as you get into retirement, when really the opposite is true. If you're going to have a long retirement, even 15 plus years, then you still want to stay aggressive, because that's where the growth is going to come. And in the long run, having a sustainable withdrawal rate with an investment plan creates a comfortable retirement. So I hope that's helpful to you. Again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. If you're out listening on the podcast, make sure to leave a review. It helps us out a ton. It makes us more visible to others who will definitely be needing this information. And of course, if you have friends or family who are nowhere near the financial security that you're in, then please send them our way. We love to chat with them to make sure that they know the difference between how they're invested for the long term. Until next time, have a great day and rest of your weekend. Take care.